Hello and welcome back to the Undercut podcast. It's time to preview the 11th race of the year, the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm your host, Jesse Billington, and joining me once again is none other than Mr. Thiemo Albus Daly. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you, Mr. Billington. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. A busy week and looking forward to what should be a very interesting Hungarian Grand Prix if all the news and build-up is to be believed.
So we get a more exciting Grand Prix of it than we've had for the last couple, I think, two or three even. We could do with a good one to see us off into the summer break.
Yes, yeah, I think Hungary could offer us the spice that we need. So we'll see how it pans out. And we'll jump into some of the news that's building up ahead of this weekend that could be leading to it being rather interesting in its own special way. And three names have emerged in the race for Esteban Ocon's seat. One of them, Yuki Tsunoda, has sort of a bit of an outside one, a bit of an
Is
oddie
this
choice.
just you?
No, this is genuinely believed by a lot of paddock reporters and sort of journalists from in and around the world of
Is it
Formula One.
you who's been telling them all this?
No, I've not been the primary source on this matter. It is genuinely believed that Sonoda could be heading to Haas.
Are you meeting people in underground car park games saying, "Don't look at me, but I've heard some news, but you can't quote me on this"?
Talking,
Shush, shush,
talking from a
run, run.
yeah. No, Sonoda is possibly in the running, as is Kamara in Formula 2, as is Leonardo Fornaroli, last year's Formula 2 champion. Kamara is set to be the reserve driver for Haas, but hasn't sort of had any contract confirmation of it. And neither has there been sort of contract confirmation for Ocon yet. So his seat is sort of very much in the lurch. It's also unclear what this means for Jack Doohan, but he's racing in a few other bits and pieces these days. So I reckon he's hardly upset by the news that potentially he's going to be replaced as the reserve driver at the very least. So we'll see how it all pans out.
It's a bit of an odd one, Haas, really, because on the one hand, Behrman's obviously not going anywhere until there's room at Ferrari, so that's at least him there for another 2 or 3 years. And they've got a lovely livery. They've got some great brand partnerships. But when it comes to the on-track racing and developing the car, it's not gone the way that we want. So it's potentially harder for them to attract an experienced driver unless you are someone like Snowder who has no other option. Because it's either this or you're not coming back at all. I still think someone like Kamara or Fornaroli would be a better choice. Especially if Doohan isn't in the running for whatever reason. Maybe he's happier elsewhere. I don't know. I would have liked to see him in a full season, but I don't know if necessarily Haas in their current state is the best place for him to show off what he's capable of. I think Fornaroli probably deserves it a little bit more just because he's already had to sit on the sidelines anyway. You're going to get some FP1 data from him this weekend, and not just from this weekend as well. And Kamara can then be in that reserve seat, and then should Fornaroli or Behrman go elsewhere for 2028, you've got someone bedded into the team who knows all the procedures and can get on with it. And heck, we get two F2 champions in a row into Formula One. What a story that would be.
That would be quite the story. However, with Sonoda, there is also the chance that Toyota, who are a major sponsor of Haas at the moment, might want to see a Japanese driver in there.
Put Iwata in the car. Give that man a chance. Put him into this.
Iwata is still tied to the Red Bull Driver Academy, something we mentioned in the last episodes.
Yeah, but Sonoda's technically still under the Red Bull umbrella as well, isn't he?
Yeah, but
So
there's every chance they might be more willing to release Sonoda than they might be Iwasa. We'll see how it pans out. I think
I'll just
Kamara
put Fornaroli in and be done with it.
Fornaroli would be the most interesting one to do, although there has been sort of rumors that he's attached to McLaren's endurance program as well, because obviously they recently released their hypercar at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. We saw it out in action, and there's a rumor and word that Fornaroli would be possibly sort of lined up for taking on the hypercar challenge for the World Endurance Series. So we'll see how he goes
Which
there.
which isn't bad, but also you're here for F1. You didn't do all of this to go and not get
Well,
into it when you've got
yeah,
a seat potentially on the table. So
yeah.
I'd be having a word with McLaren going, please.
And also, given that McLaren are running Fornaroli in FP1 and they seem to be sort of dedicated to using him as a lot of bits and pieces for single seater stuff, you'd imagine that they're probably going to try and keep him close to single seaters for a fair while longer, maybe with just sort of the option of doing WEC on the side, but with a
Mm.
goal of Formula One still being his main target. When it comes to other seat moves, Alonso is apparently going to leave Aston Martin for Alpine, though again, I haven't seen any major confirmation of this yet. But the rumor is that he would likely be forcing Colapinto out and possibly back to Williams, which rather tallies with the fact that Sainz has been shopping around the field once more. Nico Hulkenberg has been reported as saying the only seat going at Audi is the one for the reserve role, which I doubt
It
Carlos
was
would
very
go for.
funny.
Yeah, Max's future is still as clear as mud. There's little point in examining much of that, so it's a rough time being Nikola Solov and potentially unable to return to Formula 2 if his championship keeps progressing as it is. Sort of the same problem that faces Kamara and Ferrari. So it's just a very interesting time when it comes to sort of, again, the fact that we've got 22 seats on the field. None of them seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, and it sucks if you're trying to get into the sport from a different rung.
Yeah, I could see Alonso, despite him saying it's not happening, going to Gucci for his final tenure in Formula One. Would I take Colapinto if I'm Williams, or would I look for someone else if Sainz is leaving? I'd think about it, but I don't know if that's a slam dunk as we'd maybe expect it to be in some regards. But if you're Sainz and you're looking to go somewhere else, where are you going? Because as I alluded to in our review of Spa, if Alonso is going to Alpine, it's the only team that there'd be a seat available at. That is also better than your current lodgings. And even if any of the other teams had availabilities, which they don't, you're just swapping like for like at the moment. So what's really the benefit? You go to Aston Martin and somehow expect that to work out. It may yet still do. We don't know. But all the indications are at the moment that it's going to be a very, very steep hill for them to climb. You can't imagine Sainz being much happier there than you would be at Williams.
I mean, the trick very much is go to whatever team Fernando Alonso has just left because usually they have a fairly good pickup in form. So there is
True.
probably a good reason for him to look at Aston Martin and go, maybe Adrian Newell will remember what he's doing, and all of a sudden, sort of signs rocket ship. We'll see how it goes.
We need that guy who shouted at Lewis to remember who he is to go round to Newey's house and shout that through his letterbox.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, we've already mentioned Fornaroli running with McLaren in FP1 this weekend. McLaren will also be running the Macarena wing in FP1. Probably not on Fornaroli's car. We'll wait and see. Depends which car they decide to chuck it on. But this is just them testing out their version of the sort of loop to loop, doing the sort of spit roasted wing just to see if they can make it work with their aero packages. They're also bringing an upgrade to their floor as well, which is hopefully going to start utilizing the airflow along the bottom of the car just to try and find a bit more traction and balance. In other FP1 news, Rio Hirakawa will replace Ollie Behrman at Haas for this opening practice session, and Paul Aron will replace Franco Colapinto at Alpine, giving them a bit of a shake up there, and again, ticking off a few more of their required FP1 drives.
Well, Aaron's third session of the year after his two at Audi, and is also just once again looking at all the seat stuff and going, I'm still here. Please consider me for something, anything. I'd like a seat. I'd like to try something, which I would quite like to see him have a go, but I get the feeling that's another pipe dream. If we're struggling to get F2 champions on the grid, then sorry, Paul, it's not happening.
Yeah, it might take a little while. Bear in mind, there's also Luke Browning sat on the sidelines as well, looking at that Williams seat going, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But yeah, tough times for Luke Brown.
I don't think Williams are there yet.
No, tough times for all the F2 drivers that sort of got to the peak of it and then gone, right, Super Formula, I guess. I've got nothing else to do for a while. Um, but
It's a
yeah,
really backhanded compliment on Super Formula because it's an excellent championship, and yet it's the only thing available.
yeah, it's a really good championship with some absolutely excellent racing that really sort of showcases what you can do as a driver. The problem is that sort of a lot of drivers
You
just sort of
still
get,
go there, and I think Liam Lawson's the only person who's made that work in his favour in
yeah,
recent years.
that sort of get to the top of F2 and go, something to do, and then some of them disappear and go do Indy Lights, IndyCar, and then some of them go and do Super Formula, and they all sort of go. The problem with
This
at
is
least with
probably better.
yeah, and with Super Formula, you sort of do maybe a season or two there, and then sort of just become a reserve driver in Formula One. Whereas at least with the Indy Lights IndyCar route, you go and do IndyCar for a couple of seasons. Dennis Hauger is absolutely flying there. Mick Schumacher having an all-time high finish the last weekend at Nashville round a bowl as a rookie, something he was really struggling with. Then came over, what was it, sixth, seventh? So yeah,
Eighth.
eighth, and it's rocketed him up the championship standings as well, just for a really solid run. So it's
One place.
It's done him a world of good. Um, I'm totally positive and upbeat about it. It's just one of those weird things of sort of you get all this talent bubble through Formula Two, and then you go,
It goes
oh,
back to what we were saying about Red Bull and their driver program in the Spa review. You've got all of this talent and nowhere to put it. And even if we do what Nigel Mansell says and get another two teams on the grid, that's still only four seats, and we're still going to be left with some of the same problems. So it would solve some of it and be good to see, but it again brings back the conversation of how do you choose who gets to be in the seat in the first place and how much of it is talent based. You know, you look at Indy next, and whoever wins that championship gets a scholarship fund of $1 million to help you get an IndyCar seat. So at least you get that first season, but the rest of it then is up to you, which is sort of fair after that, but at least it gets you that foot in the door to be with a team for that first season, which is more than can be said for most of the F2 champions of late.
yeah, there just isn't that door opening that's happening. Anyway, I don't think there's any other news actually going into the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's supposed to be kind of warm. There might be rain on the Sunday. It's a 30% chance, but
It's a chance.
we were supposed to have wetness at Spa, and that didn't happen. We're not going to see what this generation of
As soon as
cars
they started talking about it at Spa, I knew it
just
wasn't going
not
to
going to
happen.
happen.
But you're
Yeah.
talking about it too much. It's just going to do it. It's not going to do it now.
The hot air from uh
Sky.
guy just sort of blew it away, right? Basically, it was yeah. We'll see how it goes. It's I don't know. Hungary can produce some really interesting racing, and it has done for the past couple of seasons as well. It's a tight, demanding track that needs a lot from the drivers, but also it hasn't got huge straight line sections that are going to completely deploy or deplete the battery. We've still got three deployment zones, I think, this weekend, if I've seen my maps correctly. I know we've got the first bit, the second bit as you loop back on yourself, and the long straight before you get into the very tight section of double hairpins. So there's at least three deployment zones, but also a lot of moments where you're on sort of medium throttle going through some tight weavy bits where you're going to naturally be able to charge up the battery that won't harm the bigger braking zones. So we'll see that maybe we actually get some good racing.
I'm also trying to remember if this is the circuit that this is described as Monaco without the walls, and if so, is this the one where we can start the drinking game early and see how many times from Friday to Sunday that is said by the commentary and the presenting team?
Ooh, that would be dangerous because it is the one that is described as Monaco without the walls. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We will entirely see. Again, I'm looking forward to the Formula 2 and the Formula 3 here. That's always good fun.
Hmm,
Um,
very good fun.
but yeah, time will tell with Formula One when we get here. So we might as well make some predictions despite our sort of low expectations of it. Pole position prediction, please, Thiemo.
Worked for me last week, so let's see if it can work again. Kimi Antonelli.
I feel like this is the inverse of your Carlos Sainz fastest lap problem.
Hmm. Yeah, I found something that actually does work in theory, so we'll
Just
see.
just keep predicting it. Yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit rogue and go for Charles Leclerc to slot one in for a fast lap.
It would
Just
be very on brand for him to just do it out of nowhere. That seems to be a lot of his pole positions.
yeah, and much like all of his pole positions, he very rarely converts them into a win. Someone else does, and at the moment that ties up with my podium prediction as well, where I've got
Both of
and
us.
yeah, both of us, Antonelli winning, Leclerc second, Lewis Hamilton third, and you've got a bit of a remix.
Yeah, I know how good Lewis goes around Budapest. He's got the car where if it's as good to the Ferrari as it should be, then this could be quite a good hunting ground for him once again. So I think he wins. I think Russell bounces back a little bit from Spa and finishes second, and Leclerc gets it on the podium as well in third. Get a nice Ferrari double podium to see us into the summer break, and Antonelli nowhere to be seen on the podium at least. I'm not saying he DNFs, but he's left floundering a little bit, which would just be helpful for everyone, I think.
Might be enough just to start bringing the other drivers back into a bit a closer championship fight. I think mathematically, as it stands, um, everyone is still in the title fight. It won't be until perhaps after Zandvoort that we see drivers start dropping away from the title fight if they
I
haven't
think it's safe
scored.
to already take at least six drivers out of that, but sure.
Yeah, there's four at the very least. Yeah, six we can discount from that already. You can drop Alonso, Stroll, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Bottas, and Perez from that championship battle.
I was just going to go for both Williams, both Cadillac, and both Aston Martin, realistically speaking.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you can chuck in the Williams into
You're
that.
going in the championship order, but that works as well. But I think if by that logic, probably eight at least. Or
Yeah,
else we can probably get rid of.
yeah. At the moment, post Spa, there is 316 points available, and no one has got a 316 point gap to Kimi Antonelli. Post Zandvoort might be a little bit different. There will be 258 points left on the table, wherein we could see someone already outside of that 258 point gap. But we'll see how it goes. Fastest lap, meanwhile, we both agree that it's probably going to be Kimi Antonelli.
I had to give him something to do if he's not on the podium. So drive in anger, get a fastest lap, get me a point, kid.
Just repeat what he did in Spa, get into the lead of the race, get into some clean air, bang in a fastest lap, and then just sort of cruise himself to a victory in my mind. But beyond the top end of the field, this is where things start to get a little bit exciting. Our wild predictions. Thiemo.
Well, we keep doing wild predictions of, oh, this driver or this team gets in the points. Now looking at your wild prediction, you might, well, change that. So I thought we'll go a bit different. Let's have a bit of a chaotic Budapest. So I've gone for 13 cars finish the Grand Prix.
That's 9 cars not making it to the end of the race.
Really only seven because you've got to assume that Aston Martin just aren't going to anyway. And at least one Cadillac retires per race. So that's already down to three cars immediately out of it. So it's not that wild if you have a couple of melees.
Yeah, true. It is Monaco without the walls, so there's going to be some collisions and a bit of
And
contact.
there is a wall that people have hit as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So it does work on both ways.
It's not
Are you
unreasonable. It's a big ask.
are you sticking with your wild prediction now, or are you going to change it?
No, I was sticking with mine because I reckon they might finally buck the trend. I think Williams might score more than 1 point. Because I was like,
I
Williams,
really want them to just score 1 point now and just screw with you.
well, yeah, it's going to be the Franco Colapinto thing again, isn't it? It's
Hmm.
going to be sort of Franco Colapinto finishes like seventh and he
He'll
finishes.
be running in 10th, and then 2 laps go, he'll overtake whichever Williams it is in ninth and just ruin it for you.
Yeah, that's all I need is for them to finish ninth or higher, basically, is what I'm after. Um, I don't know. They need a change of form, man, and hopefully this is the one that causes it. Um, yeah, the optimism will continue until the mood changes. Aston Martin's lap challenge, however, this is the new thing
So
we've
something
added.
that isn't changing.
Yeah, this is where we try and predict on what lap the Aston Martin get lapped. Um,
There are
so I was
70 laps this weekend.
70 laps. It's a short race or short circuit rather, 300 kilometers still to cover. However, Aston Martin have got an upgrade. I can't see it doing them much favors, and I can see, if anything, the delta in the pace between the lead cars and the Aston Martins being just abysmal this weekend. So I've gone for,
You're going for worse than me on this one.
yeah.
We switched around.
Well, actually, no. Do I try and play this sensibly? They're 4 seconds
I
a
think
lap.
it's a bit late for that already, isn't it?
What was the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix? What was the fastest lap at it?
We're looking at F2 times, really.
Fastest lap in the race was a 1:19.409. I reckon there'll be 3 laps slower. So we're looking at 60,
Three
79.
laps
So
slower.
3 seconds of a lap slower. 79 divided by 3, 26. Okay. I'm going to stick actually with 25.
All right, I'm going to go with lap 30.
Yeah, the maths,
We
the
shall
maths,
see.
the maths, as the maths did for Spa, near as damn it, support it. Bear in mind also Spa, we had a safety car which kept them bunched up for a bit
What was
longer.
I say? I'm going to potentially have an early safety car now, so your thing will get screwed, and it'll be an early safety car. Push it back a few laps, and I'll get it on lap 30.
True. No, I'm sticking with 25. I think lap 25, we're seeing Kimi Antonelli go bowling past Lance Stroll. Um, yeah,
Puts him down off the podium so he can then hold back and get his fast lap for me to make my podium happen. I can live with that.
we'll wait and see. So I've gone for 25, you've gone for 30 on the Aston Martin's lap challenge. That's all we've got time for on a relatively short episode of the Undercut podcast. It feels like we've been talking for several hours. We've been talking for nearly 2 hours in recording both of these podcasts back to back. But that's all we've got time for on this episode of the Undercut podcast. We'll be back soon to review the Hungarian Grand Prix, hopefully back to our regular recording schedule, though that'll be confirmed nearer the time. In the meantime, if the people want more from you, Thiemo, where can you be found?
Interview out this week on the Curbs with Aboriginal driver Carly Warner. I've got the Nashville review out for On the Curbs IndyCar. And if you want to get up to speed with everything you need to know for Formula 2 in Budapest from last weekend in Spa, I've got you covered. There is a key takeaways article over on the Paddock Chronicle.
Lovely stuff. And if you want more from me, you can pick up the latest issue of Classic Car Weekly, or you can listen to the Classic Car Weekly podcast. There is one episode coming out today and one episode that will likely be coming out on Friday. We've sort of ended up with two coming out in a week because of very jumbled production at the moment. And of course, you can find me on social media as at Jesse on Cars on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find me in person this weekend as well. I'm out and about at Silverstone for the BRDC Classic on the Friday and the Sunday, and I'm at the Festival of the Unexceptional on the Saturday. So I'm here, there, and everywhere, but also keeping an eye on what's going on with the Hungarian Grand Prix.